On Tuesday, UN and Arab League Special Envoy Kofi Annan and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad met in Damascus. Afterwards, Annan said he delivered this message.
I shared with President Assad my assessment that the six-point plan is not being implemented as it must. We are at a tipping point. The Syrian people do not want a future, their future to be one of bloodshed and division. Yet the killings continue and the abuses are still with us today.
However, state television said Assad told Annan that, quote, the success of the plan depends on ending terrorist actions and stopping those who support them, and ending the smuggling of arms. Earlier, there was an indictment of the Syrian government, this from the UN observer team that visited the town outside Homs on Sunday and Monday.
What is clear is government forces were involved. They were shelling using tanks and artillery, and appears to be Shabiha militia entering the houses and slaughtering people in what is really an abominable crime.
The UN's chief of peacekeeping operations agreed with the findings, but said there's little the observers can do except continue their work.
Wherever they go, and often at great risk to themselves, that they are being shot at regularly, again this morning, deliberately, and that is totally unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
Allahu Akbar. Indeed, the observers are working in dangerous conditions. Activists posted pictures online that were said to show government troops and opposition forces continuing to fight, this time in al-Assad, where opposition fighters say they killed around 20 soldiers. According to activists, the Syrian army responded with repeated mortar attacks.
Let's go! Let's go.
The fighting not deterred when the observers come onto the scene. Rosiland, Jordan, Al Jazeera.
This was concerted and coordinated action across Europe. The French made one of the first announcements. The Syrian ambassador in Paris, Lamia Shakur, will be gone within the week. The new French president called the Houla killings murderous folly.
We have agreed, a certain number of us, to put pressure on Syria, and among the decisions that we've taken is the expulsion of the Syrian ambassador in France.
Hollande later said that eventual armed intervention could not be ruled out, so long as it complied with international law and the UN.
Military intervention is not excluded, provided it's carried out under the auspices of international law, namely via a UN Security Council resolution.
The United States expelled the Syrian chargé d'affaires, issuing this statement: "We hold the Syrian government responsible for this slaughter of innocent lives. This massacre is the most unambiguous indictment to date of the Syrian government's flagrant violations of its UN Security Council obligations under resolutions 2042 and 2043, along with the regime's ongoing threat to peace and security." Berlin and Rome made similar decisions, along with London. The British Foreign Minister expressed growing concern about the crisis in Syria.
Today we have again called the Syrian chargé in London here to the Foreign Office. He has been given 7 days to leave the country. Other Syrian diplomats will be expelled. 2 other diplomats will be expelled at the same time. And our allies and partners around the world will be taking similar action and announcing it today.
Other European Union nations are expected to expel Syrian diplomats. Elsewhere, Canada and Australia have already done so. The pressure on Damascus is growing daily, but progress towards ending the fighting is still proving elusive despite all the diplomatic moves. World leaders fear that regional security is now under threat. The French will host another meeting of the Friends of Syria group in Paris next month, but the Russians are still resisting efforts here and at the UN. President Hollande is due to meet President Putin in Paris on Friday. The urgency was reinforced by the French foreign minister, who described President Assad as the assassin of his people. Tim Friend, Al Jazeera, Paris.